All right, this is the last unit of Unit 1A, Basic Economic Concepts. This section is on economic systems and circular flow. So, economic systems, your essential question is how do societies answer the three economic questions? Because based on how they answer it, that determines their system. So what are the three economic questions? They're right here, and you need to memorize these, okay? Three economic questions. 1, what goods and services should be produced? So what? What should we make? 2, how should these goods and services be produced? How should we make them? And then 3, who consumes these goods and services? Who's gonna get the stuff we make? So, what do we make? How do we make it? And who gets it? 3 basic economic questions. You need to know those 3. We're also going to go over circular flow at the end. All right. Every society must answer those 3 questions. The way they answer them determines that society's economic system. An economic system is a method used by a society to produce and distribute goods and services. So how the society decides to make stuff and how they decide to distribute them or allocate them. Types of economic systems. Basically, all economic systems that we have in our society currently right now fit into 3 groups. 1, centrally planned or command economy. 2, a free market economy. Or 3, mixed economy. And honestly, most economies fit into this because they're a mixture of both of these. Okay? We'll start with centrally planned economy, aka communism, okay? Or sometimes people call it socialism. In a centrally planned economy, communism, the government owns all the factors of production, resources, and they decide what to produce, how much to produce, and who will receive it. Examples are North Korea, Soviet Union, and China. Okay? So again, the government owns all the resources, and then they decide all 3 questions. How much they're going to make, how they're going to make it, and who's going to get it, and what they're going to make. Positive things about communism, low unemployment. Basically, everybody has a job in communism. That's the whole point of the idea. 2, great job security. You're working for the government, basically, because they own everything, and the government's not going to go out of business, usually. And then 3, equal income means no extremely poor or homeless people. That's the ideology behind communism, the idea that the government should own everything and make sure that everybody has a job and make sure everybody's provided for. That's the whole point of doing it, is to not have really extremely poor or homeless people. And then 4, free healthcare, because the government's in charge of that also. It's part of the system. Negative things about communism, why it doesn't work. No incentives to work harder, no incentive to innovate or come up with good ideas, no competition keeps quality of the goods poor, corrupt leaders, the whole idea that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. If there's only a few people in charge of making these decisions, a lot of times they're going to make those decisions to benefit themselves and not the society as a whole. And then few individual freedoms. This type of economy and government, because communism is a kind of government too, tends to value security and over freedoms. Who cares whether you have the right to freedom of speech, freedom of religion, if you don't have a job or you don't have food? That's their kind of idea, okay? And to us, as a Western society, that's a big deal. We need to have those freedoms. All right. All right, free market or capitalism. So remember we have basically 2 kinds of economic systems, centrally planned, where the government decides everything and owns everything, or free market. This is the opposite of that. The people get to choose. There's little government in the economy at all. It's called laissez-faire, which is French for let it be, meaning government should be hands off and let things be. 2, individuals own resources and answer the 3 questions. In a capitalist society or a free market system, the individuals choose. If they want to open up a business, if they want to buy a product, everybody gets to choose that, and you get to keep the profits, you get to own. All right, 3, the opportunity to make profit gives people incentive to produce quality items efficiently. And innovation is key, because if you can produce something cheaper at a better quality, then you're going to get the business over somebody else who's not doing that. An essentially planned government, it's just an essentially planned economy, it's just government doing that. There's no competition. If they want to produce moldy bread, that's what you get, moldy bread. There's nobody to compete to make better bread to fight for the profits there, because the only people in charge is the government. All right, 4, a wide variety of goods available to consumers. There's lots of choice, because people are trying to make a profit and they want to get your business, so they'll provide you with choice. 5, competition and self-interest work together to regulate the economy. So we talked about competition. Self-interest is the idea that you want to benefit yourself and your family. So if you're owning a business, you're owning it so that you can make a profit to better your family. If you go to the store to buy bread, you're buying bread that you want to better yourself and your family. And those ideas regulate the economy, and they regulate prices. If a business is going to overcharge you, you're not going to give them business. You're not going to buy their stuff. Just the idea regulates itself, keeps prices down and the quality up. So that idea that competition and self-interest regulate the economy, that's called the invisible hand. Adam Smith came up with that. It's this idea that there's this invisible hand that you can't see, regulating prices, controlling quality, making sure that things are copacetic and people have what they need. The concept that society's goals will be met as individuals seek their own self-interest. Competition, self-interest act as an invisible hand that regulates the free market. So a business will not overcharge you because they want your business. If they're charging too much, they know you can go somewhere else. A business won't put out a poor quality item unless they know that's what you want, because they won't get your business. Because someone else will put out something that's better, and you would rather buy that than poor quality. So that's how that works. All right, how does this connect to the PPC? Communism, or centrally planned in the long run, does not grow very fast at all. There's no place for innovation, competition, all those kinds of things. So the economy grows very slowly. If you look at 1950s Russia and 1950s, let's say this line is 1950s US, and then you jump 30 years to the 80s, Soviet Union looked the same in the 50s as it did in the 80s. The United States did not look the same in the 50s as it did in the 80s. It grew. There was more technology, more innovation, because of this idea that competition and self-interest promote and incentivize people to produce more. So in the long run, a government will not, or an economy will not grow if it's in a centrally planned economy, okay? If it's capitalism, it'll grow, because innovation is encouraged just by the system, the way it works. And the last slide is circular flow. And this describes the free market system, okay? You need to know resource market and product market. Resource market is where individuals sell their resources to businesses and businesses buy them, okay? Product market is where businesses sell their goods and services and individuals buy them. And it just goes around in a circle. So let's look at this. Here's the individuals. Individuals are you and me. Households, homes, another way of saying it. We sell our resources to the resource market, and we get income back. So let's say this is basically our job. If I'm a teacher, I sell my resources of my teaching skills to the school district, and then they give me income back, okay? If you own a bunch of houses and you rent them to other people, other businesses, then you're selling your land in return for income or rent payments. A plumber sells his resources to a plumbing business, unless he owns the business, okay? And then gets income back, all right? Then the business buys those resources, that's their costs to make a product. And then once they have the resources, they make the product in the factory, and then they sell the goods and services to the product market, and they get revenue in exchange, okay? Revenue and costs. And then once you're in the product market, individuals come around and they buy stuff from the mall, from the grocery store, from wherever, that they buy those goods and services, and that's called spending. And it just goes around. The money just flows around in a circle. The items just flow around in a circle. Your resources go to the resource market, which go to the business, which turn into products, goods, and services, which go back to you that you buy. Circular flow. There is other stuff that's going to be added to this, but right now, know this flow. This resource market, product market, what the individual does and what the business does. Sometimes individual is called households, so remember that too. And sometimes businesses are called firms. Remember that too. All right, that's it for today.